Good evening, everyone. So tonight we're here actually to film the episode, which is going to be in English. So it's a bit unusual, but it's going to be, I promise you, it's going to be amazing episode. So with me, I have amazing human being first. My friend Nebi, he's a property investor. He's a mentor as well. I met him at one of our properties events, and that was in Kent. So he actually came tonight straight from Kent to share his experience with you guys. So introduce yourself.
Thank you, Thomas. So I'm Nebi. I'm a property investor. I'm a property mentor as well. So I've been investing in property for 3.5 years now. I'm based in Kent. I've got 2 properties in Kent, and then I've got a block of 4 flats in Yorkshire as well. Still looking to expand and grow my property portfolio. I also help people as well on their property journey. So I've got a few mentees I'm working with them at the moment, where I'm helping them either buy their first residential property, ensuring that they don't make any mistakes, and I'm there to guide them all the way, and then also helping people buy their first investment property, because the process, although on social media might look easy, it's definitely not. There's a lot of things to consider. So that's ultimately what I do, and I'm super excited, super happy to be here. You know, like you mentioned, we met at the Kent Property Meet and we just connected straight away. So thank you for having me.
One of the things about those meetings, before I went there, I didn't really know what to expect, obviously, because there's a lot of like big guys, I call them big guys, been in the properties for, 15, 20, maybe even longer than that, but then I was really shocked, like how friendly they are, how they're willing to share, how they're willing to show you the way and give you advices. What do you think about those networking events, and why do you think is that important?
So the networking events are super, super important, because you can go there for the barrier to entry is very low. 15, 20, 25 pounds, you can go there and connect with really, really good people that are potentially further in their journey than you are. So if you're starting out, someone that's got 2-3 properties, or if you've got a few and you don't really know how to scale, there's going to be someone there that's got more properties than you or more experience than you. It doesn't necessarily have to be properties, some level of experience that you might not have. And with those property networking events, people are open as well. So a lot of people, they're not trying to hide, information, like the ones that I go to. So there's a few that I go to in Kent, right? The Kent Property Meet, where we go to now, and there's a property millionaire mastermind as well that's based in Sittingbourne. And when I go to these events, I'm always outstanded by how friendly and open people are.
Absolutely.
And I always say to people, especially starting out, just go to these events. It doesn't matter if you don't have any properties, if you don't have no money, it doesn't matter. Go connect with people, and you'll be better for it.
That's what he's saying, so what sort of like people you surround yourself with, that's what you're gonna become. And I remember I had a chat with Jazz, and there was one guy sit there that in the corner, very quiet. And he said, "You know what? That gentleman, he is actually so rich." And he was like a normal guy. We had a chat, and then he said, "Oh, so what you doing?" And I was surprised by that, So I think to create that sort of community in general is so important. And as you said, for people, like even if you don't think to do that now, just go there, meet the people, see what people does, and that's really important. So jump on a bit. So just tell us about yourself, like what you do and how you actually got to that level. What's your background, and because a lot of success stories starts with I work in McDonald's, I work in what your story is.
So my story is, my parents are from Eritrea. So they came to the UK in the 80s because of the war between Eritrea and Ethiopia. And then we grew up in Highbury. So I was born in the early 90s, grew up in Highbury. Decent area, it was the estate, so not the best area, to be honest. There's a lot of gang activity and stuff like that. But my parents, like in the Eritrean culture, parents generally are strict. So my parents were very strict. Made sure that me and my younger siblings, if we weren't indoors, we were doing activities like swimming, we're playing tennis, recording piano. So we were always busy. So we weren't hanging around with the wrong people, right? So even when we were outdoors, they'd make sure they'd keep a look on us to make sure they weren't doing anything that we shouldn't be doing. So education was big in our family as well. So, I did well when it came to my A-levels, my degree, my master's. And then from there, I started a graduate job, essentially.
Yeah.
So from there, I worked a graduate job for a few years. But even in that, I knew, although it was good, and it's interesting because the whole time I was in school, that was the dream. But then when I did that, I realized actually I felt like there was more to life than this.
Absolutely.
And I really, I was always interested in property, to be honest. There was 1 or 2 people in the community, like an auntie here or an uncle there, that was investing in property, and they were getting wealthy.
Were your parents as well into properties, or?
So, not really. So to be fair, my parents have 2 properties in London, so it's not bad. They've done okay.
Yeah.
But they had an opportunity to buy more, you know, at the time.
But they didn't.
But they didn't, you know. So, and it's one of them things that me and my parents, we discuss, like, you know, and my dad looks back and he says, like, you know, I wish I bought more and stuff like that. So that's why for me, I was like, you know what, I need to make sure that as I grow as an adult, I make sure I'm buying properties myself. So for me, it was important to get on the property ladder quite young and then just kind of go from there. And and I'm always honest about this. Like in my early journey, my parents actually supported me with my first property.
Yep.
So I didn't know that they had savings for me. But when I was 25, I had the money to buy my first property.
Yep.
But they told me, oh, half of your deposit we've actually saved up for you. So here you go, like.
So you also got your own money, and your parents actually got you lots of the other half.
Exactly, and then I was.
Was it residential property?
Yeah, my first was residential, and then.
And you got that when you were 25.
Yeah,
that's very young.
Yeah.
There's some people 35 still live with their parents.
Yeah.
Which is okay, you know. But like,
it's good still. Yeah.
But so 25, that's such a young age. So your mindset probably was like you were really focused on like, it was like business orientated and the property orientated. So tell me about your first deal when you got that property. Did you know like how to find the property, what to look into, or who helped you? So
my first property, so the residential, right?
Yeah.
So with that, I didn't have much idea. So what I was doing was I was speaking to people in my workplace, because with your first residential, the good thing is that some people have already bought a residential, right?
Yeah.
It's when you buy investment property and stuff like that, then it becomes more niche. But I just started talking to different people. So, what mortgage broker did you use, or what solicitor did you use? Kind of figuring out like that. But even then, like finding a property was difficult as well. Like my parents would come up from London to Kent with me, view properties with me sometimes. I'd view them sometimes myself. And it was a long process, you know, like you put in a few offers, you get rejected. But then eventually I found, you know, the residential that I liked. And I still live in there to this day, to be honest. Like,
tell me the feeling when you're 25 and you get your keys like for your own property. Tell me how you feel like when you open your own door.
Oh man, it felt amazing. Because the buying process for your first property is actually stressful. Yeah. You know that, like people don't really appreciate it, but I think it is stressful because a lot of it is unknowns. You know that, like you don't know the deal can fall through at any point. The seller might change their mind. You know, you need to make sure that you get accepted by the mortgage lender. You know, everything like that, and there's so many stuff outside of your control as well. So I think when it comes to buying your residential, there are so many moving parts. But when you buy your first one, like I truly believe that your second one, it does get easier. So, but yeah, when I got to the end, it was like 4.5 months, maybe nearly 5 months, the whole process. Mm-hmm. When I finally got the key, it felt great. I was like, wow, like I've actually achieved this. You know, you go into the house, you walk around, you see it. It was a great feeling.
You know, kind of investment as well, like something physical you can actually touch and feel it, you know. So what, the house is in good state, you just move in and live there straight away, or you need to do something around?
I did some bits to it. I was quite fortunate as well because my dad, he's a DIY guy.
Yeah.
So he can do flooring, he could do a lot. So I was able to, with him, we was able to like make it look nice. And then like did a little bit of work to it.
So going from there, like how long do you take for you to sort of like understand that you want to, or realize that you want to actually invest into properties, and how you came to that idea? Because that's quite risky, you know, like.
Yeah. So I think after I got my first one, I was already thinking. I was like, I wonder how I can get the second one. I was just thinking in my head.
Addicted. You were addicted to that process.
So I think it was like, and the good thing that I did was I would talk about it at work. Like just the fact that I was, to people that I trusted, I'll talk about the fact I was interested in property. And then it was like 2 years after I bought my first property, there was a guy at work, and he said to me, "Oh, Nebi, there's a networking event in Sittingbourne. Like we should go." And then, so I've never been to one before, right? So
is that the one you're going now still, or
Property Millionaire Mastermind.
That's your first.
Yeah, that was my first ever event. Yeah, and that was like just under 7 years ago when I first went.
Yeah,
and then I was meant to go with someone though, right? And on the day he told me like his washing machine, something broke. He said, "I can't go with you." I said, "Oh man, okay, well I've got my blazer and my shirt. I'm gonna go anyway."
You're already ready.
I'm ready. Like... I'm going. Yeah, I'm nervous though, like so nervous.
Can imagine.
But it was such a good event. You know, it's hosted by Sunil Poppet, like. And he made me feel so comfortable at the event, because what he did was he realized that because I look young for my age, I think anyway.
Yeah,
I'm 34. I don't know.
Yeah,
you guys be the decision makers.
No, you look a lot younger.
Yeah,
you look a lot younger.
Yeah, but when I was 27, I looked a lot younger than 27. Yeah. So he saw me in the crowd and he was like, "Oh, how old are you?" I was like, "Oh, 27." He goes, "Oh, like And he goes, oh, so what have you been doing? I said, oh, I've just got the one property. He goes, oh, you've got one though. I'm like, yeah. And single, at the time I'm single, right? He's like, oh, wow, single, you got one property. Oh, well done. And everyone's giving a round of applause.
Well, so it actually was like public, so he asked you like the question in front of everyone.
Yeah, but what he did was he made a point.
How you felt like, you know, it's not easy to stand up and actually talk in front of other people.
No, it's not easy at all. Do you know that? But if the thing is though, it felt good, because even when he made a point of making sure people gave me a round of applause as well. Yeah. So that kind of boosted my confidence because when I went there, I'm thinking, I'm young, I don't know what I'm doing here. I have no idea, I have no clue, right? But it was good because like I was getting advice from people even when I was there. Even his sister gave me some really good advice because I went there and I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm overpaying on my mortgage. It's the right thing to do. And she said to me, you need to stop doing that. Like, stop overpaying on your mortgage. If you can, release equity from your property and then use that to buy more properties is what she told me. So I said, oh, well, okay. I didn't even know this was a thing. Yeah. I didn't even know. So like now annoyingly, a few months later, COVID hit. So for a year, I couldn't really do nothing. Yeah. But the good thing that I did was I moved back in with my parents for a few months. Yeah. Because I didn't want to be alone in Kent. Nothing. I couldn't even leave my house. So because I was there, the only thing that I was paying for was a mortgage really. Because even gas, electricity, water, them times was cheap as well. Yeah. But I'm not even there. So all the other bills are very low. And because I'm living with my parents, I'm not paying nothing towards my parents. They're providing the food. So I'm saving so aggressively. And then what I did was, I pulled equity out of my property for the first time. I pulled about £25,000 out. Yep. I had some savings, and then I just went searching for my first investment property. So
you did that yourself, or you asked for advice, like people, as a property investors, what area to invest into, or you did research like yourself?
I was kind of doing research myself, to be honest. I realized I was like, Kent, the yield looks okay, especially at the time.
And you knew the area as well.
I knew the area, and interest rates were low back then. So you could really invest anywhere and you'll be okay. Yeah. You know that. So that's what I was doing. I was just looking all around Kent, going up and down. It took me a long while, to be honest. It took me like a year and a half of just searching up and down.
To find the right property for you.
Yeah, to find the right property, but I was getting rejected and stuff like that. And then I thought, you know what? Because initially I didn't even want to buy a leasehold. Yeah. But then I thought, I'm better off buying a leasehold, just getting into the game, get something, and then go from there.
So was it buy to let? Yeah.
What
over COVID, like, was it easy for people to move? And it's like, because if you buy the property over COVID, I think people was just strapped at home, so they couldn't really move somewhere. Was it? So when you got your property, it still was like COVID time, or
no? Luckily, it was just after COVID. Really, yeah. So COVID was lingering, but it was just after. So because of that, I was able to get the property. It was fine. And I've had it now. That property I've had now for like just over 3 years. So my residential I've had for coming up to like 8.5 years. 8.5 years, and then my first buy to let I've had that for just over 3 years. And I've had the same tenants in there pretty much.
What same people?
Same people, same tenants in there pretty much.
Are you managing yourself as well?
Now I manage myself. So initially, because I was working full time. Yeah, I got a letting agent was managing it, but now I manage that. Now I manage that myself. So I've been managing that for like the last maybe 6 months now. Yeah, 6 to 7 months. Yeah, it's been quite good.
So you touched really good point actually. You were working full time, and people who work full time, they think, I don't have a time for that. What would you recommend for that sort of people? Like they think, because it's kind of like full time job actually, like to searching for properties, to go to do viewings. If you work full time, you can't even do those viewings there. So what would be your advice how to get there and like how to manage everything?
So I think first of all, when people say that they don't have time, I feel like you have time for the things that you want, right? So if you want to get started in property, you have to ask yourself why. Like, what is the real reason you want to get started in property? Now, if you have a strong why, I believe that you'll find the time. 100%. Yeah. So if you're working, let's say a 9 to 5, and you can still make time for certain things. Maybe it's an hour a day. You use that maybe your lunch break or at least half an hour on your lunch break to call estate agents, and then in the evening. Or in the evening or on a Saturday, you can do viewings. So there is time. Yeah. You just have to make the time. You have to want it.
You have to want it.
You have to want it, and you can still go to networking events in your area as well. Like no matter where you are, no matter where you are in the UK, you can go. If you live in a town or a city, there's going to be networking events 100%. In and around where you are. So you can make the time. I truly believe that because
So what? That's really really good topic. So let's say someone sits and watched us, and they want to find like they want to start it, but they know where to start. What would be your advice from beginning, like how to find some advisors or like, because I know you mentoring people as well. So I think that would be probably the wise thing, actually, to go to someone who actually done that, who knows things, so you can avoid so many mistakes as well.
100%.
So what would be your start, like, let's say if I would like to start that, what would you advise?
So what I would say is like, what's your goal? Is it like cash flow, capital growth? Like, are you trying to pull out money? Like, do you want to refinance? Or, but what I would say is that if your goal is just to say you want a good cash flowing buy to let, right? I would first ask you, what's your budget? You know, and if you're, you know, for your first investment property, generally you want to make you don't want the risk to be too high. You know, you want it to be a property that's going to cash flow nicely for you and then give you the confidence to do maybe something slightly bigger after.
Yeah.
So then it's knowing that. But then what I would say is, you know, if you're depending on your budget, I would always say you don't have to necessarily invest close to where you live. You don't have to, you know, because since that buy to let, I bought a block of flats up north in Yorkshire, and that cash flows for me way more nicely than the buy to let down here. So, you know, that's what I would say. I would say, okay, now think about your budget and then think about actually what areas yield well, and it's got good capital growth potential as well, and it's generally like you get a good tenant profiles there as well. And there's a lot of cities in the UK, Leeds, Sheffield,
Manchester,
Liverpool.
Manchester maybe it's a bit too late now already to jump in there.
Exactly. Properties have gone up a little bit in Manchester as well, but you know, but Manchester's better than trying to invest in London, 100%. I'd say. And then but the Yorkshire area is really good. You know, you can get really good yields there, really nice cash flow, you know, on your money. So
I have a lot of colleagues. So I work for Kerry Williams, you know, the world largest like estate agency, and I got my colleagues that live in like you and then you know that sort of area up north, and they notice that a lot of people moving actually from London there because I think that you know ability to work from home and do things and you know and because the property price is just massive difference. So last episode actually we got we just role played, so we got 400,000 budget. So we were checking what you can buy in London, what you can buy Manchester, Leeds, and in Scotland as well. The difference is just unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Like £400,000 budget. If you buy in London, it might be, if you're lucky, maybe a 2-bed flat in zone 2, maybe. Maybe. Yeah. Because I know this, right? Because I know people that I bought something like that. So, and even then, 400,000 might not even get you a 2-bed flat, you know. But 400,000 in up north can get you like 5 buy-to-lets, 5 nice buy-to-lets, for example.
Crazy.
It can get you maybe like a big block of flats or 2 small block of flats. You know, it can get you a few HMOs. It can get you so much more. It can literally get you a nice portfolio. Up north. Yeah.
So you know, there are people still investing into London because obviously I know like some areas those even dropped off the capital as well, and even the capital growth is really like about 1%, not even more than that. So you notice people still like investing into London, and what's the reason why they do that?
So people that I know generally are not really investing in London, to be honest. You know, people invest in Kent for sure, because even Kent, the barrier to entry is a little bit lower. You know, so you can still make your money work for you somewhat in certain areas in Kent. In London, I think if you've already invested in London, you have a lot of properties in London, you've got a team in London, you've got the capital, then potentially I think there are big developers that do invest in London still. So you know, but in terms of like people that I come across in networking events and things like that, I don't know that many that actually invest in London. Not that many. Because capital growth, it's not looking great at the moment in London,
Absolutely
right?
not.
And then, but it's still also one of the highest places in terms of like the price. So it's like it's very hard to get into. And then the capital growth is not great. And
So I met the lady. She wanted to sell her 2 buy-to-lets. That's happened as she purchased the properties back in 2022.
Okay.
So one in Dagenham, another one Hortchurch as well. So it's 2 properties, 2 flats, 1 bedroom with tenants as well. And we talk about the price, what she wants to get. So she paid for 1 flat 190, another one 205 back in 2022. And then so we talk about in her head, the property prices went up by 25,000 each. So she thought she gonna make a good 50 grand from both. Reality hit, and obviously same. So the price didn't move. So you think still like the flats is not for capital growth? It's not the best thing to invest if your end goal is capital growth.
Yes and no. So I mean, I say this, but I've got like 5 flats. Right? Like, because I have one. So I have one flat obviously in Gillingham, and then I've got a block of 4 flats up north, right? So I think it depends, right? But I think generally speaking, houses do go up in value at a higher rate than flats do. So if capital growth is your thing, then potentially houses is what you should invest in. The reason why I do block of flats is because cash flow is very good.
Yeah.
And then at some point in the future, I can title split the
Yeah.
flats as well, right? And then pull out some money. So there's two ways I can benefit. And then I also own the freehold as well.
Yeah.
So I don't have to pay
Oh,
service
right.
charges, that and ground rent. So if you do that, I think then there's potential for like capital
Absolutely.
growth and whatnot, because you don't have no service charge, you don't have no ground rent. But if you're buying like just a leasehold within and then there's a freeholder that charges you service charge and there's ground rent and stuff, then yeah, a lot of times they don't appreciate at the same rate as a house. You know, I've seen it. I mean, even my 2-bed flat, to be honest, if I tried to sell it today, I don't think I'd make. I'll probably break even, maybe a bit lower. To be honest, that's why I'm not going to sell it.
Yeah.
You know, I'll just keep the tenants in there
yeah.
and just cash flow. Yeah, because for me it doesn't. Yeah, but I'm not a. I don't believe I believe in long term holding.
Absolutely.
So for me, it's a long game. I don't like a lot of people. Yeah, they'll buy. They want to
Flip,
quickly,
Yeah.
make money and stuff like that. And that's cool. But the most wealthiest people I've seen in property have just been buying over time, slowly but surely buying. And then 20, 30 years in, a lot of these properties have gone up in value. And then, you know, because of these properties, they're multi-millionaires.
Yeah.
Right. But it's because they were in the game long enough to do that.
When you said about flats and houses, you know, just a question from my side, as a real estate agent, people really like scares, you know, the leases and other stuff. But as an investor, you're getting your first property. Just imagine, okay, so you get the flat, you know, you pay the service charge, that's fine. But then you get a house, all right? That you put all your money there, you expect to get like, you know, good value. And then let's say in half year, your roof start leak.
Yeah.
So that's the risk. Like,
There's a
and when
risk,
people say, I'm saying like, look, think about opportunity as well. The flat is not that bad, you know. If you gotta get some issues, you got the money there. You know, the people got funds, and you don't have so many things to go wrong. Like when you own the house, roof, doors, whatever. What do you think about that? Like for the first time investor.
Do you know what? You have a good point. You know that because even in my flat, like any big problem that's happened is divided by 9 flats. Yeah. You know, so but the thing is this is that like it honestly depends on who is managing the building.
Absolutely.
If it's a good management agent, then and they you know they try to make sure that they are cost effective, then you could be in a good place. Yeah, they're not just trying to hike the service charge and things like that.
Yeah.
Then yeah, that's fine. However, in a lot of instances, it's not like that. Like you see the issues, right, where whether it's the freeholder or the management agent acting on behalf of the freeholder, they hike the prices, and now people are paying insane amounts for service charge. You know, so back to my leasehold, what I've done now is there's something called like right to manage, where you can actually legally take over the management of the building.
And do yourself?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. But what you need is 50% of the leaseholders to agree. You can then set up the company and then take it over.
But so in your case, you can say, look, you either sign or you go.
Yeah, that's what I did. But it's like you need 50% at least to actually fully agree.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I did, and this took like the best part of the last 2 years. I was getting people out for coffee, meeting them, going to land registry, getting their deeds, their addresses, and now we finally got enough people.
So there's no threatening involved.
No. I mean, I should have got you to.
Yeah. Next time, next block, just give me a shout. Me and the boys gonna come.
Yeah. But so in July now, like it's done now. In July we take it over. This July. Like,
so when people gonna pay service charge, so actually you gonna get that money yourself, or it's gonna be like, you know, how does that work?
So for right to manage, it's basically like you set the tone. So as in like the directors in the company, they will agree on, okay, where should the budget go, and they'll send out the service charges. But because we're all 9 of us are going to be paying towards the thing, we all have the same goal, which is to make it as cost effective as possible, right? So we all pay still, but you got to think if you're managing the cost, it's going to be cheaper than a company doesn't care because they're not paying it, you're paying it.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how it's going to be.
It's such a good thing, I think, but obviously you're going to put some extra, work for yourself.
Yeah.
But in the long run, I think, and for people as well.
Yeah.
For people as well.
It also makes the value of the flat go up as well. If people see that, this is being managed by an RTM company, and the service charge has gone from like, let's say, $3,000 now to 1.5.
Yeah.
People are going to be more likely to buy the flat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know,
so
if I'm paying $1.5 grand for service charges for the year, and it means things are going to be fixed, I don't have to worry about no roof, as opposed to like 3-4 grand, right? Some people pay 5 grand a year.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Crazy,
insane.
especially the new builds. Like
Yeah.
new builds, crazy.
crazy.
You know, it's and it's really nice to to hear what you're saying, like how the way how you're looking after your tenants as well. And I think that's really really important. You know, and well, that's a good question. Rentiers Act, your opinion, like honest opinion. What do you think about that? And then they're gonna continue.
So I think with the Renters' Rights Act, it's like if you're a landlord and you're compliant, you know your property's in good condition, and your tenants are okay with you, the risk is small.
Yeah.
You know, the Renters' Rights Act, it's going to catch you out if your documents, your compliance is out of sync, and also if you don't have a good relationship with your tenant. Because if you've got a good relationship with your tenant, you guys can work through.
That's the reason why I asked that question. When you
Yeah.
said about your tenants, and then that's the reason, because your mindset that goes towards that, like you have nothing to panic about. You know, there's obviously a few adjustments,
Of course.
but in general, as you said,
Yeah, like my property's up north, I have a letting agent, they manage it, right? And then my buy-to-let in Gillingham, I manage it. But I make sure that any issues, I'm fixing it.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I'm compliant.
Yeah.
So, and I make sure to stay on top of things. So if you stay on top of things, you're going
because
to...
I've seen, I've seen quite terrible landlords, and I think there was the right time actually for some regulations, like proper regulations, to come in place. Probably a lot of people won't agree with me, but from tenants' perspective, I think that's really important. As you said, that communication, and as long as you have a good relationship with your tenants,
Exactly.
That's
what's important. You know that, yeah, for sure.
cool. So that's amazing part of that. Tell me more about, like, when you mentoring the people, what things you focus on, and how it actually works. Is it a long course, or like how does that work? So you start from beginning. Let's say if someone comes, well, I have no money now. You work towards a strategy as well, or
So if they have no money, like I won't mentor them straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just say to them, look, if you've got no money and you want to invest, for example, go to networking events.
Yeah.
That's what I'll tell them. Yeah. Go to networking events. I'll just give them some advice. But if they want more, like if they really want to learn about, I can give them more like advanced advice if they want to understand about investing, what they should be looking for. I've done that as well, but I won't just take them on and mentor them, right? It's if someone's now, they've got the funds, they know they want to invest, they need a bit of hand holding. Then I'll work with them on that, and then we'll speak, depending on their budget and their goals, we'll work around that. Where is it? Okay, with your budget, where can you realistically invest? Okay, what does that actually look like? What does your first property look like? Is it a buy-to-let? Is it something else? And then also if it's a buy-to-let, like, okay, based on your budget, what areas actually make sense as well? Because your budget could allow you to invest in 3 cities over here or 4 cities over here, but actually, what cities do we know is going to have a good tenant profile in there? You're going to be able to get good cash flow, and then we know, and it'll be areas that we know quite well as well. So yeah, and then we'll just work through them. But the point of the mentorship is not just I find them a deal; it's so that they learn the process, so that they've got the knowledge for life, essentially.
absolutely. Yeah. So instead of giving them a fish to teach them how to
Exactly. Yeah, they become the fishermen or women. You know what I mean?
I think
Exactly.
that's really amazing actually, and I would like to create something for, like, because obviously our podcast is for Lithuanian community, and Lithuanians are really really, like, they hardworking people, and they really want to invest as well. So I think this podcast is going to show the way actually that even if you have, like, 10,000-20,000 pounds, or create something that people can join together and actually do that would be really really amazing.
100%.
What so let's say, to check from, like, first time investor perspective, what mistakes people does, like, what do you think, what the most common mistakes people do?
I think the most common mistake is not making a mistake. And let me tell you what I mean by that, is by not taking any action.
Yeah.
You know that?
Yeah.
Like, you're better off taking action and making mistakes. It's not going the best, but just keep plodding along. Because at some point, something will work. Yeah, so that's the biggest mistake, is not taking action. You talk about the Lithuanian community, even in the Eritrean community, that's what I see.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people, they've got 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 grand, but they're not taking any action.
Yeah.
And I'm like, your money's not working for you. So, and it's eroding every day because of inflation.
Inflation is just crazy.
Exactly.
Just sits there. And
Exactly.
loses
So
money.
it's about, and I get why the mindset is like that,
mentality, yeah.
because of our parents' generation. They came from war,
Exactly,
so they want to
same.
be safe and secure, but we have to, invest. So that's the first mistake I'd say. The second mistake is not actually being around other investors as well. You need to be in a community. I'm sure when we've met and we
Yeah.
go to these property and networking events, they're good for the soul.
100%. You feel like you do something like really right. And then I remember I came like second time and people already like knew my name and I was like, look, those people know my name. And it's just crazy. Like you sit with someone who's got, I don't know, a portfolio of 70 properties and you sit like literally one-to-one and talking and then they, happily sharing the experience. This is priceless. This thing is priceless. I think it's only industry, the people openly ready to help to each other. What do you think?
100%. Yeah, that's why I say to people, if you can, go to a networking event because people will help you for free.
Yeah.
That if you can, and they'll openly share what it is that they're working on, what they're doing. And, and also I tell people all the time, if you are new to property investing, when you go to these networking events, see what value you can add to people as well. Because you might not have properties, but you might have a skill that they don't have.
Yeah.
And you could help them in a way that they can't help. It might be that you're good at social media, so you can help them with their social media. And then guess what? They're going to want to help you in some way as well. So there's a lot of ways you can.
I think that's important, just as you said, like to create the value, like both ways. And I think nowadays in general, we have to be ready to offer something to someone. I remember when I first started to do, real estate business, I worked for free for half a year. I didn't get no money at all. Every single morning I used to go there, used to do, admin, used to do viewings for no money at all. I'm happy that I had that opportunity, but that's what I want to say. Like, if you want something, be willing to give something, whatever form it would be. It would come back one day.
100%, 100%. I agree with you. You know that.
So that's my main thing. So no more mistakes, or
So I'd say get around people, get educated as well, and then from there, and then also get a good team around you, good mortgage brokers. Make sure that when you're looking to get a solicitor, you're speaking to the right people. Make sure that it's through a good referral, things like that. When you're looking to buy your first property, sense check it. Make sure you're not buying with emotion. That's one big thing as well. Buying with emotion and not and I get it. I do get it. Like you like the property so much, you just want to. I've been there myself. I understand. And don't get me wrong. I feel like even doing that is better than not buying at all. To be honest.
Yeah.
But at least make sure that you're going in with the numbers first, right, and not anything else.
So would you help people actually to work out the numbers? So you sit with them and you say, look, this is okay, but this not going to work. Like, how are people accepting that? Because sometimes some people like really passionate about what's going to happen, they don't really want to accept the reality. So how you deal with that?
I think with people that I work with, I make sure that they understand why it's not going to work. Yeah. And it's like, and I think sometimes people get in this idea of like, if I don't get this property, then, like it's game over. It's game over. And I understand it, but, properties, they'll always be on the market. They'll always be there. So it's just getting people to really understand that. And what I also do, I share my own story as well with people that I work with, because I've had deals fall through, I've had things go wrong. So, and, properties I wanted and I didn't get. So when people can relate to that, then they understand. Okay, fair enough. It's not just me. He's gone through stuff like that as well. So I think it's getting people to understand that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I think there is a lot of people who actually advertise that they can help, but the way they work with people, they kind of putting them off from that sort of like idea. What do you think?
Yeah. So how do you mean? They're putting people off as in?
Yeah, I mean, like, the way they working with people, like, because if you're big and you do like any kind of courses or you mentor, sometimes your ego get in the way, and like people don't feel like, they could be open and that sort of thing.
I think it's about being relatable though to the person you're working with, right? Because I'm sure we know people that are like big in the game, they have these big courses, big mentorships and stuff, but a lot of times people can't relate to them. Because and also they're not being mentored by them one-to-one as well. Yeah. There's like a whole team underneath them, right? They can't even get to that person.
Yeah.
So there's no relatability there, right? So, but I think if you're able to relate to that individual and you share your story with them, then they're gonna feel more confident in their own journey as well.
100%.
Because it's not just about showing them how to buy property. It's about the mindset as well that you instill in that individual, and that can be with them for life.
So now your honest advice. If someone like big, at the property, it doesn't probably necessarily means that they're going to be a good mentors and you're going to be successful.
Exactly. Because mentoring is all about helping someone achieve their goal.
It's person to person,
Yeah, it's person to person. And it's also about, do they really care that you achieve that goal? That's the thing. Like, or are they just trying to take money from you? That's the thing. You have to really feel it. Like, do they actually want you to achieve the goal? Or is there a thing like, no, they just want a quick pound from you. So
So do you still think like the properties is still good so like way to invest your money? Is that still the case? What's your opinion?
I'd say so, but it's different to what it was before. Like before, you could buy anywhere and you're good to go. But now you've got to do more due diligence.
Yeah.
So you got, if you're buying somewhere, understand the area, understand what your strategy is. Is it going to work for you? Understand the numbers, everything. Make sure that even when you get your property and you're getting tenants in there, make sure the compliance is all on point. You know, the landscape has changed so much because interest rates are higher now and things like that. But I think it still is, because now properties as well, like, if anything, you're seeing more motivated sellers now. It's becoming somewhat maybe more of a buyer's market.
Yeah.
Property prices
Absolutely
yeah,
agree.
property prices, yeah, like adjusted for inflation have actually gone down.
Yeah.
Do you know that? So
Yeah.
it's like actually in some ways it's you can actually technically it's even more affordable, especially in certain areas
Yeah.
to buy. So you have to look at it in that way as well.
But I noticed as well, the interest rate is so high, but from my perspective, like the asking price, March it was 0.8%, April 0.9%. What's happening with that asking price? I think sellers is not in really good position actually, because there is I think the offers on the market was like most within 11 years. So there is a big market there, but there is not a lot of buyers looking for things.
Exactly.
So why they think that is the right time to actually put the asking price right up? Like,
I think it's because sellers they want the most money they can get, right?
Yeah.
And the buyers, they want it for the cheapest they can get. So it's it's trying to be in the middle. I think that's what it is, isn't it? Like human nature is, if we want to sell something, I'm gonna want to sell it to you for the highest I
Yeah.
can get it for. You're gonna want to buy it from me for the cheapest you can get it for, right? So I think it's just that. But I think the reason why there's so many people even trying to sell their property, I think one part of it is the Renters' Rights Act.
that's absolutely.
They just
agree.
like landlords
Absolutely
they just want to
agree
get
with
out. They just want to get out. But my thing is this: is that for people wanting to invest, I think in the long term it's going to be to our benefit. And the reason why I say that is because if landlords are leaving like this, unfortunately, people would say there's going to be less landlords in the market.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's less supply. But we know that in this country, the demand is just increasing.
that. Yeah.
When demand increases and supply decreases, we know what that means, right?
Yeah.
The rents are going to
Price
also
up.
increase.
Yeah.
Eventually, landlords win. You know that,
Yeah.
right? Because they can hike up these taxes, but all landlords will do is pass that to the
That's
tenant.
tenant.
Yeah.
So they-
Yeah. So, the laws that are there to protect the tenants actually sometimes hinder them as well, which I don't know how much the government have thought about that, but yeah.
So let's say situation I had with that lady. So she had the properties for 4 years.
Yeah.
Price stayed the same. So
Yeah.
it's nothing about capital growth. So
Yeah.
the conversation, like, you can't even go there. So she said to me, like, every single month she used to get £300, roughly about £300 from each property profit, which is
Okay.
like £600. But
Okay.
obviously, so what she said to me and why she wanted to sell, because of a headache she's getting, like, oh, what if tenant's not going to pay? So she's like in the constant stress. What would you advise that sort of, because obviously I think the way is, if you're keeping just one buy to let, it won't do much, like, in my opinion. Like, what's your opinion and how people could scale, or they should or not? Like, what's
So in her situation, so she's got 2 properties.
Yeah.
They're both profiting her. And is the tenant actually giving her stress, or is she saying that they
she
could?
yeah, that's the personality. That's the personality. So
Because in my mind, I'm like, well, look, if I'm making £600 profit from these 2 properties, and the tenants are paying on time, if I sell it, I'm breaking even. Then why
Yeah.
not just keep it? That's how I would.
Yeah,
I would just keep it.
100% agree with
I'd make,
that.
because that 600 will turn into 7,200. In the 1 year, that's 14,000 in 2 years. And then if I'm saving, if there's other savings there as well, that's the money I can accumulate now to buy another one.
Yeah.
Up north, maybe not down here, right?
Yeah.
So there's different ways to look at it. Like £600 a month might feel small, but actually that's £600 a month
Yeah.
that you're making outside of maybe your normal job.
Absolutely.
So that's an extra 7,200 a year.
Yeah.
So that's like 14,400 in 2 years. So
Yeah.
when you look at it like that, actually it's not that small.
Absolutely.
Like our friend Jason Patterson,
Yeah.
you know what he says here? He says a lot of littles make a lot.
Yeah.
So and I truly believe that. That, like, it might feel small now, but you get one buy to let. Now you make 300. You get a second one, now 600. Okay, now you get another one, and you done more of your due diligence. Now it's 400 on top. Now you're making 1,000, right? Now that 1,000 maybe covers in the house that you live in. It maybe covers half your mortgage. Yeah. So now you're on your way to financial freedom.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe it takes a little bit longer than you want, but
If the people feel stuck stagnated in like 2 properties. What would be your advice, like how to scale it?
So
What to look into?
So there's other strategies you can look at, yeah. So for example, is it in a good location for maybe service accommodation? So maybe they could put it on Airbnb, because you can utilize every property. Like the property that I live in at the moment, I Airbnb out my spare rooms.
Yeah.
I Airbnb out, so some months it covers my mortgage, so
Yeah.
I live for free
Yeah.
in my house. So so it's about utilizing the space. So if did you mention there was in London?
Yeah.
So if it's a flat in London,
It's quite literally, I think 50 minutes from
yeah,
here.
if it's a flat in London, she'd have to obviously check the lease that she can do that. But if she can do that, then check on websites like AirDNA, and then actually check what's the occupancy rate on Airbnb and things like that. And then actually potentially it might work very well as an Airbnb. Maybe as an Airbnb she can get. I mean, I don't know how much she rents it out for now. Maybe let's say she rents it out for
I think
1,500.
1500. That's actually right.
There you go.
That's a professional.
Yeah.
1500.
Yeah, 1,500. Maybe if she puts an Airbnb, she gets 150 a night.
Yeah.
Maybe 150 a night. So and obviously Airbnb she'd have to pay for the bills and stuff, not just the mortgage. But if you're getting 150 a night, occupancy is 70%. There's
Another
potential
thing.
there.
My other question is HMOs. Okay, is it still a big thing, or is it because I'm from Harlow?
Yeah.
I live in Harlow. I think the Harlow has really strange rule. Like in I think it's 100 yards. I think it can't be more than one HMO or something.
Okay, yeah.
It's very very strange like restriction. Where do you see HMOs now? Because at the beginning it was quite like really boom. Like where is it now? And people need to consider as an investment thing.
Well, it's interesting you asked that, yeah. So I don't personally invest in HMOs, right? My strategy is more now block of flats.
Yeah.
But I've had HMO people come to me and ask me about investing in block of flats because they want to move away from that.
Yeah.
I think HMOs now, they're becoming quite hard to sell. A lot of areas are becoming like Article 4, which means you need that planning permission now to actually have HMOs, things like that. Like where I am based in Medway, a few years ago in Gillingham, there was no Article 4. People buying HMOs, creating them left, right, and center. Whereas now, it's a little bit tricky because it's Article 4 now, pretty much the whole of Gillingham. So I think HMOs for me personally, like there was moments where I was thought, oh, should I go into HMOs? But
the money's better, isn't it? Like
cash flow, no, HMOs and a buy to let, yeah, cash flow can be better for sure.
But
it's more maintenance, more management. So it just depends what you prefer. If you're gonna manage it yourself, managing a buy to let is gonna be easier than managing a HMO. I manage my buy to let in Gillingham, and it's quite easy. If that was a HMO, I'm sure I'd get a lot more calls in the night. Things like that.
So I live in UK for 12 years. And when it came to the country, because in Lithuania, if you rent a flat, like you live in a house, there's no such a thing as like HMOs, and you live with different people. So that was quite unusual for me. But that was probably no regulation as well. So the guy used to come every Friday. I used to pay him cash, and that's it. So no one cares about like what kitchen space we have, how many bathrooms, because it was 3-bedroom property, and then there was lounge split into 2 rooms.
Oh wow! Okay.
That was quite crowded. For me, it was so. And there was people from Bulgaria, from other countries, and obviously it was really really international. And for me, it was like, wow, I wasn't experiencing anything like that. But obviously there was no like the industry was no regulated as well. And also I think when they feel like when the government feels like out of control, they have to put some restrictions, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure, to protect the people, right? It's a must,
Now about in terms of like investing into properties, the last event we went, they talk about commercial properties.
Yes, yeah.
Do you have any people who actually come to you and say, "Oh, I would love to invest into commercials," or you do mainly like residential?
So I mainly do residential. So I've never had anyone come to me.
What's your opinion about what what we heard about commercials? Like, what do you think? And you considering into your future, like to get that as well, or not?
I think potentially, right, at some point in the future.
It sounded really great, though, isn't it?
It did, but I think we can appreciate when people present about what they're doing. It's always going to sound great, right? We know that, but look, commercial. I think it works. There's definitely benefits to it as opposed to residentials. I mean, stamp duty is lower. You get less headaches with tenants because obviously it's a lease, right? And they pay you, and they have to kind of fix a lot of their maintenance issues and stuff like that as well. So
it sounded amazing.
It sounds good.
So it has to be a catch there,
Yeah. I think the catch is capital growth and stuff like that. I don't think it's the same as residential.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think there's something there. I think the real money maker, I think, and this is something I would want to do in my future is like commercial to residential conversion
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I think that's where like that if you know what you're doing there, I
Yeah.
think that's where people make like serious money.
Because I think our event we had few people actually who does that,
Yeah.
converting the
Yeah,
properties
yeah.
as well, and
Yeah.
and that's again we back to the topic about networking as well, because in that one room you got everything.
Yep.
You got mortgage advisors, you got solicitors, you got literally everything.
Yeah.
So if you want to start, if you have your money, just walk into that room and then you would find anything.
100%. Everyone that you need is in that room.
Yeah.
An accountant is in that room. A tax advisor is in that room. Like you said, like a few good mortgage brokers are in that room.
Yeah.
You can even pick.
Yeah,
You can even-
yeah, just imagine that.
You can interview them right there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you go to that. You could go to that event 2-3 times, and then already you could build your team. So that's why I say to people, if you can go to networking events, like I get it's like. I get it. Like it's nerve wracking. If you've never been to a networking event before, or if you feel like you're not experienced, you may feel like you can't actually attend, or you're not going to be comfortable there. But believe you me, these networking events are really good. People are just open to sharing, and people want to help you. That's the truth. If you come there with a good attitude, people are going to help you and share openly with you. So I even have a property group chat, a WhatsApp group chat. Like there's like 170 people in there, and in there I always
Property Millionaire.
No, I have my own one.
Because I'm on a Property Millionaire.
Yeah, so I have one. It's called
Invite
property,
me as well.
I like to do that.
Cool.
It's called Property Gang. Yeah, so it's like it's like 170 people are in there, and in that any networking event I go to, I'm always sharing, so people can they can meet me if they want. So I go to a few in London, I go to some in Kent, but that's why I try to get as many people as I can to just go to the networking events, because they're a game changer.
Tell me more about the reason behind you start mentoring people. Was it like, because obviously I don't think the money was a main thing.
No,
like, and
no.
What's the reason actually, and why are you actually doing that?
I think for me, it's like I want to help people.
Yeah.
It's like I know that investing in property, when you do it in the right way, buying properties, it builds wealth over the long term. You get stuff in the news now telling you otherwise, and there's all this negative noise, but properties will always be here. People always need a place to live. You know that. So it's always going to be a sound investment, and I see how many people want to get started in property, but they just don't know how. They don't know what to do, right? So I see people and I want to help people ultimately, my community as well. I see there they have, like I mentioned before, right? They have savings, but they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So I just want to help as many people as I can. That's my goal, just to help as many people as I can get on the property ladder and just get going, and then build momentum from there.
Because we had a chat as well about because there's even like the products like 100% mortgages, so opportunity is there as well. But like some people just don't want to take that decision. It's like, and I had that chat all the time. I said, so you paying your rent, yeah? You've been paying for 10 years, no problems at all. Why won't you, or why do you think something would get wrong once you're going to get the property?
Exactly.
Like, you notice that people have that sort of fear inside of them.
Yeah, they do. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to, right? That's why people, I mean, I've had mentees where like they've even offered on a property, it got accepted, and they withdrew the offer. I'm like, what happened? So, and I get it though. It's like I understand it, but it's just, it's like any, wherever you are in life, right? It's because it's the sum of like your experiences and your mindset, right? And ultimately, the reason why people don't want to buy property, even when they know deep down they want to do, is because they have an innate fear of it going wrong, and it stems from somewhere deep down. So it's actually, a lot of it is getting people to think in the right way, that, and actually understand that, okay, investing, yes, it's a little bit risky, but you are better off taking some risk than not taking any risk at all. That's 100%. The truth. Yeah.
The question would be, let's say I would like to invest in properties, but I go on my own and find a house. It looks all right. What sort of, let's say, 5 things I need to look into, like whatever, paperwork wise or in general structure wise? Like, you as a professional, what would you look first?
So make sure there's no roof issues. Yeah, that's how I would do. So if you've actually put an offer in, you can get like a roof survey done, right?
By a lender, you mean? Or
no, it doesn't need to be the lender. You can actually get your own independent
yourself,
person.
But you probably would recommend that to get that with every single property, or to get
it depends. Yeah, like if it's your first property, you're gonna live in it, for example, then maybe I'd recommend that, because it's your first one, right? And you want your first one to be a good experience.
Yeah.
Because at least if you buy a 2-3 and your fourth one is something's wrong with it, you can deal with it.
Yeah.
But if it's your first one, it can knock your confidence.
Yeah.
It can destroy your confidence.
Absolutely.
So that's why I'm always about like being
roof,
I'd say. I say also, ensure there's no like serious damp or condensation mold inside as well. I would I make sure you understand the title, the title.
Yeah.
You got the title number, deed, so you understand where your boundaries are, so
Yeah.
you don't have no conflicts, or you know exactly, because last thing you want is like problems with your neighbor about
Yeah.
certain plots of land or things like that, because that happens as well. You know, I've got a friend and he's like currently going through an issue with like a housing association, but like, and they're trying to charge him service charge for a piece of land that he thinks is his. So these are issues that happen. So those are three things there. I would say the fourth one, and I go through this with my mentees all the time, is understanding the crime rate in that area. That's important.
But
crime
you
rate.
put that even on the top, like a top 5.
I'd say so.
Wow.
Yeah. I would say so. If you're gonna live in it, and even if you're gonna rent it out, actually,
Yeah. Oh,
it's important.
100%.
Yeah, it's important. But I'd even tie it in. So there's websites where you can look at the crime rate, but you can look at like the volume of people that are employed, self-employed,
Yeah.
on benefits, stuff like that. You can get
And
the whole,
even like education as well. Like,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
put that
yeah,
education.
yeah.
So what sort of level of education
yeah,
that area?
Yeah. So I'll do that, and then the fifth would be. So is this after you've had the offer accepted already?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd make sure I get like a home surveyor's report, like a good detailed one as well, like at least a level 2, because what you can do, if you get a detailed report and it shows like problems that weren't apparent to you when you viewed it, then you could actually use that to negotiate down the price. So those would be my 5 things.
I think that's really good. And so are you helping the people to your mentees to negotiate the prices as well? Are you leading them through that process as well?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we don't just go in and like, even when it comes to negotiating price, it's about what price you think it's worth. Yeah, forget the asking price.
Yeah,
because actually sometimes the asking price might be a good price.
Yeah,
to be honest as well.
But still, you want to knock some like 10,000 out of it.
So like, I'll even tell them like, when you get on the phone call, don't just say like, oh, would you take lower than this? Just say like, oh, I understand it's up for this amount. Is the vendor willing? Are they set on selling at that price, or is there some room for negotiation? Yeah. If you word it like that, sometimes estate agents might be like, oh yeah, there's a little bit. A lot of them will say, yeah, there's a little bit of room for negotiation. So already you know that you can come in lower, right? But if you just say to them like, oh, could I get lower? Or if you say it like that, they're gonna be like, no, you can't. Right? So there's a way to word it.
Communication.
Yeah, there's a way to word it. You know, if I say to you, oh look, I appreciate, look, I like how it looks, like, and I appreciate it's up for £90,000. It looks great. Now is the vendor set on selling it at that price, or is there any room for negotiation? If I word it like that, your defense is like lowered. Yeah. And you're thinking, oh yeah, there's room for negotiation. Yeah, you might say that to me. You know, so I think it's, I'll get them to, word it like that, so they already know they can maybe start at a lower point. But I'm hoping there's not many estate agents that are watching this. You know? They're gonna get a lot of people calling them with that same line. But yeah, so techniques like that, I'll definitely.
Just say you're looking probably to yourself. Would it be traditional Rightmove, Zoopla, or auctions maybe? What the way you looking at your properties?
For me, I generally use Rightmove. Yeah. I use Rightmove. That's what I use. Yeah. So I use.
And how are you filtering the properties? Like, what's the main criteria you go for? I mean, you see like, that maybe the ones that have been sitting there for a long time, then probably there is opportunity for negotiating the price. What actually you're looking when you're choosing Rightmove?
So I said Rightmove. Rightmove is the main one I use, but I use Property Filter as well. It's like it's a tool that I use that can help, and you can get more information on the property. So, I mean, for me, when I'm looking, I mean, block of flats is like a strategy.
Is that like Chrome extension for Rightmove or not?
No, it's not.
Is that completely different?
Completely different. Yeah, but you could plug in the URL for the Rightmove listing, and they can provide you with a lot more information. So I'll pay for that, but you can provide me with a lot more information on that property, and I can literally see like how much more or how much less that property is compared to other properties in that area for that postcode. It shows you all of that. It shows you what yield it thinks it is. It also shows you the history of the property, as in like how much it's been up for, and how much it was up for before, and how long it's been off for sale for. So
that's what I use as well. Yeah. That's how I do my comparables. Like I go there and it literally got everything, like even the flood rate, like everything there. Yeah. You can even find planning permissions being given for your neighbors as well, like pictures and everything. There you go. It's crazy. So sorry.
All good. So like, say I'll have that information, but if I'm looking at if I'm looking at a block of flats, for example, the way I'll do it is I'll go on Rightmove and I'll click flats, right? But then I'll do like 3+ bedrooms, and then I might put in a county like Yorkshire, and then do like a 30-40 mile radius, and then once I click search, I'll then click on freehold, and then I'll go from there. And then I might do like 2+ bathrooms, just so it filters out
Yeah,
the
to really narrow
and then
that.
I've narrowed it down now. Now I'm getting blocks of apartments, and then I'm scrolling through, and then I'm just seeing, okay, which ones look good, which ones are yielding well, and then I'll go in and I'll see, okay, individually, what would the flats be worth in the area, things like that, and then from there, I'll then look at, is it close to the station? I'll look at spare room as well, open rent to see what what it would rent for, and then also what the demand is compared to the supply in terms of the rent. So these are the things I look for. I've got a deal analyzer sheet, which I use as
And
well.
that sounds like a really hard work, actually. Though that sounds like you need to just spend a bit of time
You
with
have
that.
to. You have to make sure that you're doing your fundamentals properly.
It's as you said, people so excited to get the first property. Sometimes they're just missing bits,
Yeah.
and those missing bits can cost a lot of money. So
100%.
from your experience, if you can just mention me a few things, like maybe from your experience, from friends, of the things which cost a lot of money for young investors, young unexperienced investors, and if you can just explain, what sort of things and why it costs money to them.
So is that in terms of just like upfront costs, what they're going to be getting, what the upfront costs?
In general, let's say like someone purchased a property and they didn't check the paperwork right or something.
I got you. So I mean, oh my, there's so many different things, right? So it could be that, I mean, like I think we mentioned a flat, right? If you not check the service charges and the management agent and how proportionally how those service charges have increased over the last few years, the next year could be a big service charge that you might get. But the writing was on the wall. You could have checked the previous.
So do you have any like stories from your experience? Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah. So my first buy to let, right? Service charges have just been spiking. So that's why I took the action to then to create an RTM company to now take it over, because what was happening was we had management agent that were just hiking up the service charges. So check that if you're buying a flat. Also, and I think now they've actually put a cap on ground rent, but previously ground rent might be like £100-400 a year on top of the service charges, right? So, and I think coming back to even with that, like I think we touched on it, like things like your structural issues, the roof issues. That's why if you could do like a home surveyor report, it's a few £100, right? But it can save you tens of thousands.
100%.
Because anything can happen in the property. It could be a rat. It might be a rat infection. There could be rats in the house and you didn't even know. Or it could be anything, right? And I mean, the home buyers report is not going to pick up everything, but at least it'll pick up some things that you can actually then go back and say. Because a mentee recently completed on her residential, and she done a home buyers report, and there was a lot of things that it came up with. She went back to the seller and said, look, these are the things that I need fixing. The seller went and then fixed it all. They actually fixed it all.
They fixed it all,
and then she was able to move in, and now she's living there now. Yeah. This is in Aylesbury, just outside London. But that only cost her £400 maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But he made sure to, because he knew if he didn't do that, she might not buy it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And again, sometimes from vendor's perspective, like sometimes you can save like £500, but you can lose a deal.
Yeah.
And my next deal not gonna come like within 6 months or something. So it's sometimes people and that's what I notice as well in real estate, selling real estate, that sometimes people trying to save small amount and losing like big amounts, and because now it's really common thing for buyers to get estate agent help, and I think that really wise actually. But I noticed that some people, I'm not sure, like for example, they want to knock the price by £5,000, so they lose a deal, and then you see like in 4 months' time they're buying something similar or even worse for over £15,000.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I noticed like that's things happening quite often as well.
Yeah. So it's like sometimes, look, we definitely try to get a property for a good price and things like that, but sometimes it's about moving as well. Like because I had this issue actually when I was trying to buy my first property. I was trying to get every property way below the market value, but other people buying it. And I'm like, oh God, and I look back now and I'm like, I know now I would have done different, but at the time you don't know. So sometimes it's like, if it's a fair value, you can buy it, and you think you can add some value to it over time, then it could potentially be a good opportunity to buy it.
Because normally, would you agree that the cheap properties there, they got problems? Like
a lot of times,
if you see that someone was like really really cheap, and there is something, something.
Yeah. Like if you so a couple people, I'm helping them buy investment properties in Middlesbrough, for example, right? And there's some properties going for like 50 grand. They look like they're good, but then when you look at the area, it's a horrible area, like the worst part of Middlesbrough. And I'm like, look, you could buy this, but you could get a tenant that's going to just ruin the house.
Yeah,
it's a high risk. So let's move away from that area and let's focus on these areas here, you know, because there's certain pockets that are actually nicer. So you're better off paying a higher amount,
Yeah.
but you get a good tenant in there,
Yeah.
and then now you're cash flowing nicely. You're on your way. Yeah.
Because people are really selective, you know, where they want to live, and as you said, the crime rate, that's one of the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Like people looking, you know, the infrastructure, you know, the stations and stuff. You can get a cheap property, but then it does, you know, it doesn't make sense because no one's gonna come and live there,
Exactly,
you know.
exactly,
So
exactly.
that's Do you have any experience with auctions?
I don't know. No.
Would you considering that maybe in the future to go? Because you know, I heard that people, I don't know, people losing as well on that. You know, like
Yeah.
there's a lot of people going and thinking, oh, you know, there's bar guys, but then end of the day, they kind of like a lot of people losing if you don't know what you do. But what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, so auction again, you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So make sure that you're checking your legal packs, you know, everything like that, or you've got a solicitor checking it for you. With auction as well, like there's a set amount of time that you can complete. It could be 28 days, sometimes 56 days, but you are obliged to complete. And once the hammer goes down, you have to give 10% of the value of the property, right? There's a 10% deposit or something that you got to give, and you can lose the fee, auction fee and stuff if you don't go through with the property purchase. Like I know people
Risky.
I know people this happened to.
Game.
So this isn't to say that people shouldn't buy from auction. You can, but you just have to know what you're doing with anything. But for me, in the future, for sure, like, you know, once I start going to auctions and I start understanding the process and things like that, then it's definitely an opportunity.
So we started to talk about the future. So how you see and where you see yourself in 10 years time?
Wow.
That's a long, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's a long.
Yeah.
Tell me the number of properties.
Wow. So a
And
number.
you know what? After 10 years, I gotta find you.
Yeah,
I gotta find
yeah,
you.
So I mean, currently I've got 6. Yeah. So in 10 years' time, you know, my goal is to, you know, acquire. I'll say in 10 years' time.
10x?
No, don't tell you. I'd say, you know, realistically, I think in 10 years' time I'd have like 20 plus. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So for me, it's not about
good realistic goal. I think.
Yeah. For me, it's not about like I've got to get 50 or 60. Yeah, it might happen, but I think 20 plus solid properties, cash flow well for me. But actually, what's more important than that though is helping it. Like at that point, I want to have helped hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And they bought properties, you know, and you know, and they understand the process now, and they're buying properties multiple now because of the fact that I was able to help them at the start of their journey. So that's, for me, actually, that's more important. Actually, I want to have impacted as many people as possible in 10, you know, from now to 2036.
That's why I said at the beginning that you're a good human being. That's what I meant, you know, because you can feel the energy, you know, you can feel the energy. You know, I always hearing those things like from tenants say, oh, well, you know, property has to be a house, it's not the investment. What do you think about that? And what can you say about that? You know, the people said like, oh, it shouldn't be as an investment thing. What's your opinion on that?
So people say that properties shouldn't be for investing.
Yeah.
So my thing is like, I'd always ask like,
is house for living, not for investment?
Have you
ever heard that?
I hear all the time.
Same.
So, but then I could say to them, okay, food's for eating. Sainsbury's and Tesco shouldn't profit from it.
Yeah.
What about that? You know, because it's the same thing, right? So water, you know, we pay for the water that we drink, right? So like, what makes you think that that property should, like for me, I'd ask them, so what's the alternative that property?
It just doesn't make sense.
Should properties all be free? So if it's free, then it's like, how do we decide who lives where and how big their house is, right? And then it's like, okay, if it shouldn't be free, then are you suggesting that the government and the council own all the properties? Because I tell you something, if that happens, it'll be worse for you. So I think like when people say that, it's actually I think having it the way it is right now, right, where it's you know, it's capitalism, right, and it's based on like the money you saved and earned and you've bought, right, is I think is the best way to do it, and actually it's the fairest way to do it.
Yeah, I
think if you know this, when people say, I generally believe when people say, you know, property isn't for investment, I think it's people that are just angry that they've not been able to
100%,
invest in property. You know, that's all it is. Yeah,
100%.
Because it's like you then what you need to do, you need to get yourself in a situation where you can then actually invest in property as well. Because but don't just, because if you're just sitting there angry at the world, you're not going to change your situation. So when people say that's usually my response. So should food be free then? Yeah. Should water be free?
Absolutely. Because if you can't afford to buy a house, or you're not in position to buy a house, where would you live? Like, where would you live? Like, there's someone who actually worked hard for long years, you know, invested into properties. It's not easy thing. Like,
exactly.
You know, people think like, because I used to do inventories as well. So I used to work with quite a few really big agencies.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing those like ruined flats, completely ruined flats, where you need to like decorate every single bit.
Yeah.
And then people, oh, you're lucky, got 4 properties, 6 properties. you're not lucky. You just not lucky.
It's not about lucky at all. It's about
100%.
I had to graft so much to get the
Yeah.
properties I've got, and it's not like I make so much money from these
Yeah.
properties, right? I make a little bit of profit from each of the properties, but it's through graft and grit
Yeah.
that I've been able to
It's
do
nothing
it.
about luck there.
It's
like,
not luck at all. It's not luck, But when people say that, for me, it confuses me because it's like how is it like it's luck doesn't like nobody just hands you a property.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like here you go, here's 5 properties. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
You have to go out and work for it and earn it. That's the way to, and through that you create your own luck. But luck doesn't just come knocking. It never works like that.
Do you like read books? Like
A lot of
reading
books. I read a lot of books. Yeah.
What book to read or you recommend for people who are listening, and it's like whatever it would be in terms of properties or whatever, what would you recommend? The first book probably would change people's minds and make them think a bit differently.
So the moment you said that to me, one book came to my mind, there's a book called The Psychology of Money. That's a really good book. So if you haven't read that, I'll definitely recommend reading that because it taps into the actual the why people think the way they do.
Yeah.
And actually, people's circumstances is the reason why they are the way they are, right? So I think Psychology of Money is a very good book.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
This is just.
You know what? Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's a good book, yeah. If you're starting out,
Yeah, like really starting from zero
because
point.
that could start to change your mindset as well.
Yeah.
So Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I've read it a few times.
Yeah.
It's a good book. There's good people in property. They've got good books. So what's his name? Rob Dix. I think Rob Dix. Yeah, he's got a few property books. I think I've read 2 or 3 of his. Really good. Rob Moore, he's got good. He's got a good book that I've read as well. And there's a few others as well that have got really good books.
I think people in general have to. What I notice nowadays, they have to change the mindsets in general. The people not willing to take responsibility at all. So as you mentioned before, like no one's handing you anything.
Exactly.
And it seems like people sometimes waiting that or saying, oh, someone has to come and provide them or have to take an action for them. Like this thing, I was in that position where I came to UK. I had no language skills. I couldn't speak English at all. So that's why for me, I was quite nervous at the beginning.
Yeah.
I couldn't speak English at all. And but even then, I knew that no one's gonna come and give me anything.
Exactly.
I came to UK with the idea that I gonna work hard, and that was my main goal. Until sort of like. I started to do one thing, then another, and then I'm sitting with people who has properties and investing into properties.
Exactly.
So
amazing.
Well, I never even thought about. So from someone who come from a really small country with no language skills to sit and do a podcast and have you on a podcast, that's for me that's an achievement.
Yeah, no, it's amazing.
So
yeah.
I think if every single of us can take a bit of responsibility for what we do, and put some hard work, we're gonna succeed. What do you think?
I 100% agree. I couldn't agree more with what you just said. Honestly, that if you take responsibility for where you are and you say, okay, actually, the reason why I'm where I am right now is because of me. It's not because of anybody else. And you take back control. And when you do that, then you can change your actions, you can change your habits, and then through that, over time, you can change your life.
Same. And I think another important thing is goals. Like set up the goals and be able to track them. And when we spoke about the time, people say, oh, I don't have a time. I have a daughter, she's 10, all right? Yeah. So she's like, oh, why didn't read the book? Oh, I didn't have a time. I said, oh, show me your phone. 5 hours screen time.
Yeah.
If any single of us, end of the day, would check our screen time on how many hours we spend on the phone.
It's a lot.
That's for our time.
Yeah, a lot of us, we do spend a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we do some for work, but sometimes you would surprise. Like I have 12, 13 hours on the phone, like literally screen time.
Yeah, no, I've checked mine as well. Mine is like I've had 10-hour days. Do you understand? Yeah. So and I think don't get me wrong. Like for me, I think 'cause I do social media as well, stuff like that. But I think a lot of times we're all guilty of it, right? We doom scroll.
Yeah.
You can be on Instagram, just like you look at one post and then you scroll. So it's about like having the discipline, right, to make sure that you're giving your time to. If you're on your phone, that a lot of it is like productive, and then you're allocating focus time as well.
When you said about discipline, one thing come in mind again, like back to the people who are actually moaning at someone investing. People don't really have good habit, like spending habits. What do you think about that? Like,
yeah, I think that I actually think that's a reason why a lot of people are struggling as well, because money flows, right? Well, so if you don't control where it flows, it will flow through you.
Yeah.
So before you're not saving anything. But if you control it, so actually maybe I put a few hundred towards a pot where I'm going to use it maybe for property, or then a few hundred here. Wait, 100, let's say, goes towards like a stocks and shares ISA, and then another 100 goes towards just normal savings. If you already have those direct debits coming out the day you get paid, for example, your money's already like going to work for you, and over time that compounds over time.
Yeah.
You know, so that's all.
So that would be your advice, and in general
Yeah,
for people
that's what I would say.
who want
Standing
to
orders. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. So standing orders, putting standing orders in place that go to different pockets. Yeah, will help you a lot. So maybe it's like 10% of your salary goes towards savings, another 10% goes towards investing, right? So, and then money that you're gonna use for investing, or maybe it's like I mentioned, like a stocks and shares ISA, for example, right? And doing it like that, and that will be over time. It will build up. You know, you might have a few hundred, then it's a few thousand, and then it's a few tens of thousands, and it builds up that way. Yeah.
Is there any platforms like where people can actually invest into properties without, need a lot of, information or knowledge, or without need a lot of money? Like they can actually, I don't know, big developers, they can invest into that. Do you know like people who does that?
So I mean, there's strategies, right, where you can invest with not that much money. So, I mean, like strategies like rent to rent, for example, where you can rent a property from a landlord and then either put it on Airbnb, Booking.com, or have it like as a HMO kind of situation.
Rent is a cool thing, but
Yeah,
it probably is
yeah.
hard to get. What do you think?
Yeah, rent to rent is one of them. I mean, I don't do rent to rent, right? But I have friends that do it, a few friends, and with rent to rent, you have to be okay with being rejected a lot of times first before you get your first one. So some people I know, they did it for a year, they just gave up because it's difficult. Because most landlords tell you to clear off. Yeah, but if you get your first one and it works well, then it can be really good. But yeah, you need to know what you're doing though. Like, yes, like you got to make sure you set yourself up, the company up the right way, things like that. You have to have grit, be able to call a lot of landlords, let them know your corporate, you do corporate let and things like that. And then, but people can be successful in it though.
How you see that would be beneficial for landlords, for example, like, rent to rent, like why they can't do it themselves but yeah.
So the reason why a landlord would use someone that wants to do rent to rent is because they don't have to work. Like, it's almost like, you're going to get guaranteed rent every month. Yeah, so you don't have to and then that person will deal with a lot of the maintenance as well.
Yeah.
So it's passive. It's very passive.
It's very passive.
Very passive. So that's why they might opt for that. Because I might, for example, a landlord might think, should I get a tenant in that's going to pay me $1,200 a month? But I know that they can stop paying.
Yeah.
Life can happen, or someone else is going to pay me the same, maybe a little bit less, the same, but it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
They're going to Airbnb out my house, whatever, but they're going to pay for the maintenance. They're going to, then there's an opportunity that actually maybe I'll go with that person instead, maybe.
100%.
And there is an opportunity. Those people though, they just have to word it in the right way to the landlord. I think landlords get scared though when they hear about rent to rent.
Yeah.
And
I think from landlord's perspective, it's just a good thing. No headache as well. If you, for example, don't even like live in an area or something, I think that's very cool thing. And even from the tenants doesn't care. Like it doesn't care. But for landlords, I think that's an amazing thing. Is there anything you want to add towards the end of our podcast? Like there is something like the powerful message you wanna say for people, like motivational one.
What I'll say is, look, if you want to get started in property, just know that you can. Just get your mindset right. Go to, like I mentioned before, go to networking events, be around the right people. Make sure the people that you're around are people that motivate you as well. Like, this is a point that actually you want to make sure the people that you are always around are people that you want to be like. So if people around you are not ambitious, they don't really care for investing, they just have bad habits, then you're going to pick up on those habits as well. But if you get around people that actually are motivated, they're ambitious, they're go-getters, you'll become like them as well. Whether you like it or not, you'll become like them. So get around the right people, and I'm sure you'll be able to succeed. You got this.
So thank you so much.
Thank you, bro.
Last thing from me, I know you engaged recently as
Yes.
well, so big congratulations.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
And in general, thank you so much to be here, to share like all the information with our people. I want to say thank you as well for that. But last episode got 1,600 views, so for me it's quite a big thing, So we have 6th episode now. Thank you so much. It was amazing to have you here. The information was really priceless. And when's the next Property Millionaire networking event?
It'll be next week on Wednesday.
Next week.
Yeah, next
I'm gonna
Wednesday.
be there.
So, I'll see you there
again,
for sure.
thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Like, subscribe, and obviously I gotta put your details there. So if someone wanna call out, or someone wanna ask some questions how to invest and how to start, more than welcome, people. So thank you so much. Woohoo!
Thank you.